Alrighty, we are back for another exciting edition of COVIDleaf Radio. I'm the host of the most, the king of the quarantine, Jimmy Falcon. Boy, oh boy, are we back with a very talented man I've known for 9 years now. The scary but sweet Bill Oberst Jr. How's it going, Bill?
Ian, you are a good friend, brother, and scary but sweet. I like that. I'll take it. In fact, I'll steal it and ask my manager to use it.
Go ahead. Well, I think it's
true. It's kind of like salty sweet. It's a good taste. Together, scary and sweet is nice. Because you don't know which is going to come, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling.
Yeah, you don't know whether it's going to be scary or sweet. I like it. So thanks for having me on.
Well, it's an honor, and I feel like you do play a lot of scary, maybe even horrific characters, but behind the veil, you're very kind, and it seems like you're also going to have a lot of, I don't know if I want to say religious tendencies, but you're a good guy.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I've tried to do what Lon Chaney said he always did, which was to put humanity in the monsters. So, like, even if they're doing really horrific, malevolent things, I want there to be a human being back there, usually a very wounded human being, so try to put a little soul in it.
Very true. And you and I are a lot alike because we grew up as fat kids and being picked on, sort of being the class clowns. How do you think that helped you cope? And, oh my goodness, what led to this being a career path? That is really embarrassing.
I love your dog.
Yeah, me too. Just not when I'm trying to do this, unfortunately.
Excuse me. I'm a big dog guy. You ask about...
Yeah, see, I'll go over that again. How do you think that helped you cope, and what led to this being a good career path?
You scratch any actor or any entertainer of any level, and usually you'll find that they were picked on as a kid. So I kind of view it as an asset and a benefit, because when you're knocked down as a kid, you know that the only thing you can do is get back up. And so you learn to get back up. And the people who were never knocked down, and the kids who were never picked on, and who always told how wonderful they are, they got a real education coming when they get out into life. So that's a good thing. And I think it's especially good for actors, too, because if you've been picked on, the things that happen in childhood, I think, kind of stick in our soul.
Absolutely.
All of our life. You can talk to like an 85-year-old woman, and she'll remember the things that hurt her as a child. And so it gives you a good emotional well to draw from. And yeah, you always got stuff you can go back to, and things that, that kind of hurt you, and you packed away, but are still there. So, yeah, I don't view it as a drawback at all. I'm glad that it happened.
Yeah, I think you learn and grow, and especially, I always liked making people laugh, so it is a way to cope with, being picked on as a kid, and, that stuff sticking with you. At least you have a way to go, well, at least I made some of them laugh, and I guess now I've heard from some people who were like, oh my gosh, they're still doing this show, that's great, and thinking people that, were so horrible to me when I was a kid, it's kind of nice to maybe make them feel like you're a little better than them or something for a half a moment.
Picked on us, they don't remember it. I've had many people on Facebook who hit me up and, like, oh, hey, we were in 6th grade, we were in 8th grade, and I'm like, yeah, I remember you vividly. I remember how cruel you were, but they don't remember that. Because it didn't mean anything to them. When you hurt somebody, it doesn't mean anything to you. It only means if you're the one that's being hurt.
Right.
So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I guess, and a lot of times the girls that were gorgeous that I was in high school with are already not aging as well. So I think if you're gorgeous at a certain age, it's just kind of all downhill from there.
Well, that's something I never had to worry about.
Me neither. Being that, of course, some of your most well-known characters are scary and horror descent, who are some of those that were not so scary and maybe even normal that you've portrayed?
That's a shallow bucket to pull from. Who have I portrayed that was normal? Well, I did a couple of Hallmark movies, and I played a
Really?
squeamish father. But even though he was normal, he certainly had a temper, a violent temper. There was like one scene where Daniel Panabaker is playing my daughter in this Hallmark movie. She's been shunned, and we can't speak to her. And she's playing a guitar, and I grab the guitar and just slam it against the post of the porch and bang it into pieces and walk away. And Michael Landon Jr. was the director there. And after we did that scene, he said, "You know, Hallmark, you got to bring a little bit of violence, don't you, Bill?" I was like, "Well, you told me to do it." So I cannot think of a character I played that hasn't had that sort of simmering, at least possibility of malevolence. Even the comic stuff I've done, okay? Asylum has made one kid's movie. I'm the villain in it. It's called The Princess and the Pony. He's a comic carnival owner, but he's mean. And then I did a talking dog movie. I'm so happy. This is my great talking dog movie with Dean Cain, and it's called The Three Doggeteers. And I play the evil dog catcher, and he's very broadly drawn, like a Yosemite Sam kind of character. But again, he's mean. So I can tell you some normal people, but nobody that's nice.
You know what? I just thought of one, Bill.
What?
Walter from the Hee Haw parody with Jim Carrey.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, it's just a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
I guess he was kind of normal. You know, that little shoot proved to me how nice a guy Jim Carrey was, because I had to grab a gun from his hand and pull it. And he said, just pull it, just go for it. And I said, "Well, I'm afraid I'm going to pull you down." And he said, "Just go for it, it's fine." So I went for it, and he ended up flat on his ass on the dolly tracks.
Oh, my goodness.
And everybody on the set went, "Oh," it's like, and take a breath. And he got up and he looked at me and he winked and he said, "It's okay, my fault, my bad." And I was like, "Wow, you're a classy guy."
Yeah, I've watched a lot of interviews. He does seem awesome, and a lot, like almost everyone I've talked to, the people I've talked to that have worked with him have all said he was wonderful.
Very, very quiet, very quiet guy. Most comedians I've dealt with are like that, very quiet. Hugh Jackman is also very, very nice. Beyond the point that you would expect that he has to be, which lets you know that he's just genuinely a nice guy. Adrienne Barbeau, wonderful to work with. Jamie Lee Curtis, wonderful. Just seems like the higher up you go, the more successful people are in this particular business. My experience has been the more genuine and kind they are. I know there are crazy exceptions, but
Right.
Everybody I've met who's at a really high level has been really nice.
And another wasn't more of a character, it was actually a very talented writer. Person you portrayed, who may have been more normal than some, was Ray Bradbury on stage in theater productions. How did all this come about?
I'll tell you, I will take my answer back because I have played Ray and he was normal. And I forgot about Abraham Lincoln. He was normal too. He was melancholy, but he was normal. So Ray Bradbury has been my favorite author since I was a kid. And after he died, I always said if Ray Bradbury dies, I'm going to go to the funeral. But I was shooting a movie in Mexico, and I couldn't go to the service in Los Angeles. So I was so bummed out that I contacted his hometown in Waukegan, who was having a memorial performance that year. And I said, you don't know me, but I really, really love Ray. If I could participate, I would. So they invited me to come, and I read from a story of his that I really liked as a boy called Pillar of Fire on stage in Waukegan, Illinois, his hometown, at the Genesee Theater. And that's where it was a movie theater at the time when Ray was growing up, and that's where he first saw Lon Chaney movies. Wow. So I did that, and it felt so good to speak Ray's words from the stage that one thing led to another, and over time I just kept thinking, gosh, I wonder why has nobody done a one-man Ray Bradbury show? And got in touch with his family, and it took about 3.5 years, 19 drafts of a script to get to a point where they liked it. And we had just gotten it going when COVID came around. Yeah. So I'm hoping that once COVID
Yeah, it's unfortunate. This year has it's shut a lot of doors in restaurants and even on sets, but it seemed to also open up a lot with streaming and people just doing stuff from their homes and finding ways to make money and make the industry work.
That's true. I started a podcast, and I never would have done it except for COVID. But I started my little Gothic Goodnight podcast, and people have liked it, and Audible.com is accepting it as original content. So I just finished my 13th episode that winds up the first season, and now I'm going to package it as an Audible offering to have that online on Audible. And it's really close to my soul. It's Gothic literature, and it's fun and spooky, and I never would have done it except for the pandemic. So I know a lot of creative people who were forced to do things that I always thought about but never done.
Well, that's awesome. You've joined the podcasting world. I see more and more people and more range of topics coming about with podcasts. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So I'd like to invite your listeners to check it out. Mine is very short, always under 30 minutes, and it's meant to put you to sleep. I thought it'd be fun to have a bedtime podcast. So it's set in an old library and mythical library, and I read you a short selection of Gothic fiction as you drift off and go to sleep.
Absolutely. I think everybody should check that out. You said it's going to be on Audible?
It will be on Audible as a complete season audiobook, but right now it's online. It's on all podcast apps. Just look for Gothic, Gothic, Gothic Goodnight, and you'll find it. There are 13 episodes up there now. The Phantom of the Opera is probably my favorite of the ones we've done so far.
Very cool. I think everybody should check it out. I'm going to have to check it out. That's awesome.
Do it in the dark, though. You got to have the lights out because I mean for it to be like a nighttime podcast because I say, good evening, welcome to the Moonlit Library. And it just sounds stupid if you're doing laundry in broad daylight while you listen to it. So wait till dark.
So no riding down the street on the bus or jogging with it?
No. And I argue with people who say, oh, I listened to your podcast, I was going to the laundromat. I'm like, you got to take it to bed.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, I don't think that would be the place to necessarily be listening to it at all. Something else that's creepy, scary, and very original is something you've worked on the sequel for recently, and you won a Daytime Emmy Award for it, and I believe that was in 2011. Take This Lollipop. And I checked out the sequel. It was very awesome. What was it like returning with this whole character and this whole idea?
Surprising, unexpected, and a hell of a lot of fun. Jason Zada contacted me out of the blue. We hadn't talked in a couple of years. And he contacted me out of the blue in like September. And he said, I don't know if we can do this, but I have this wild idea. And we're going to try to get this together and have it out by Halloween. And he did it. And was nice enough to have a little bit for me in it. And it blew up on TikTok. Last time it was on Facebook. It got, tens of millions of views on Facebook. And this time, I guess the modern version of that is TikTok because somebody put it up as a TikTok challenge, Take the Lollipop. And in just a week, it got 35 million TikTok views.
Wow.
So it's huge. The technology is interesting. I won't say any more. I'll let people watch it. And but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And it was interesting to me because I had to do my part separately. And then I looked at several test versions of the thing sort of under the dashboard before it went public where things weren't working and things had to be tweaked. And there's a lot going on under the dashboard of that thing. And behind the scenes, I have no idea how the people who write the code did this. It's magic to me.
It is. I was telling people they couldn't. They're like, how do you put yourself into it? I'm like, you just have to check it out. You put yourself into it. I can't go into it or you're not going to get the joy out of it. But I thought it was interesting that I found out about it pumping gas.